Can I help you? Well, if you come in, you have to say hi. Say hi, chicken. Say hi. He doesn't know where the camera is. It's raining outside, so he's looking at the rain. Love ya, but you can't be in here. Hi, welcome. If you're new here, my name is Red. I'm a painter and tattooer in upstate South Carolina. This is my studio, at least one little corner of it. In the other corner, I've got printer and desk, and my cat Chicken is hanging out. If you hear him grooming himself, you hear him grooming himself. It's also raining outside right now. I doubt y'all can hear that, but if you can, if it sounds kind of strange in the background, it's because it's raining. So I sat down the other day to put together a vlog, and I realized that I had hardly any footage of the last month. And I will tell you why this is. You see, about 4 weeks ago, my sheep gave birth. They had lambs. And so for the last month, I've been caring for recovering mamas, and I've been caring for some bottle lambs. Whew, it's been a lot, y'all. Anyways, so even though I've still been working, my mind just has not been on filming. My mind has been on like, get the things done that have to be done, and otherwise my focus is 100% on the lambs and the mamas. I thought maybe this would be a good time for more of a chatty type of video. And I've been wanting to put together a video with just sort of general tips as an artist for a while. I really like these kinds of videos because every artist is different, so every artist is going to have a different set of tips. And it's always so interesting to me to see like what works for different people. And over the years as an artist myself, I'll try the different tips that people suggest, and over time I figured out what works for me and what doesn't work for me. So, shall we do it? Okay. So tip number 1 is, and this might seem obvious, do what works for you. Yeah, that seems pretty obvious, and it seems pretty vague and broad, I guess. But hear me out. And this applies to not just business things, but also your art practice. I'm going to give the example from a business standpoint, because there's one in particular that really stands out to me that I've had experience with over the last few years. When I first started being more fine art focused in my art business, everyone that I saw on the internet, people I knew in real life, artists that I knew in real life, galleries, like everyone across the board has like made it very clear that their number one priority is an email subscriber list. Get an email subscriber list. Start an email subscriber list. Hands down, that was their number one tip, right? And so I was like, okay, great, I'll do it. Everybody recommends it. Everybody says it's great. And I totally understand why people say that it's great and why people really put a lot of emphasis on it, because there are a couple reasons, but reason number 1 would be communication avenues like Instagram are dependent on that platform of Instagram. So if Instagram crashes one day, we've all experienced that, then suddenly you're not able to communicate with your people. That's really not great, especially if it's like collection launch day or the launch day of some like big thing that you've been doing, you know, your shop update, your shop opening, any of those things. So that could be really bad. Like that happens and then you have no way of communicating with people and people forget about it, and then it's like a huge flop, and that really sucks. So that's thing number 1. Thing number 2 is Instagram and these other algorithmic type of platforms, these especially the social media platforms, they are always changing. They're always changing the rules, and we've all seen it over the last few years. Our engagement has gone from like really great to like not so great. And you're like, why aren't people seeing my stuff? Well, if people aren't seeing your stuff, you're not able to communicate with them. So with an email subscriber list, you're able to communicate directly with them, and that communication is not dependent on the algorithm. So I 100% understand why people really emphasize an email subscriber list. And it also is really great for people who don't want to use social media, or they're trying to limit their time on social media. I love that, right? But for me, I tried it. I tried it for 2 years, and what I found for me and my practice is that as much as I loved creating the content for the emails and like communicating and doing a more blog style type of format with communicating, sitting down to actually do the email was so difficult. And I think I'm going to blame part of that on my ADHD. There are some tasks that are perfectly fine to do. They're neither here nor there, but for whatever reason, doesn't make any sense. It's just really hard for me to do the thing. And so I realized that emails weren't working for me. And I switched to Patreon because I knew for sure that I liked Patreon. There's something about the way that that platform is set up that's more up my alley, so to speak. Even though emails seem to work for everybody else, that doesn't mean that it's going to work for me. And that's okay. So use that as an example. Now, if you're hearing this and you're like, oh, emails sound great, try it, do it. If you think that Patreon sounds great, try it, do it. But the moral of the story, this number one tip is do what works for you. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Give them a try. Try the tips, try all the tips, but don't beat yourself up over something not working for you. If you need to focus on something, even if it's supposed to work across the board, that's okay. I think, and I noticed this, I started to feel like I could see my, not my frustration, because that's not the right word, but I could see my difficulty with the email platform in my emails when I would reread them to myself after I had sent them. And I was like, that's not good. That's really not good. I need to stick with the platforms that work for me. So I switched to Patreon, which works very similarly. The downside to Patreon is that people have to sign up for it, kind of like signing up for Instagram or signing up for Google or signing up for whatever. You have to do like a username and a password and you sign into it and do your settings and all of that. But if they sign up for getting email notifications, then when I post something, they'll get an email about it. And most of the time, they'll be able to see the whole post in that email. So it works, once you're signed up, it works very similar to email subscriptions, which I love. So I can use the platform that I like, and other people can still get the same experience if they're comfortable with signing up for something. All right, so that was tip number one. Do what works for you. Doesn't matter what it is, if it's business related or if it's art practice related. If it works for you, it works for you. It doesn't have to work for everybody else. And if some person out there swears by this one particular thing, but it doesn't work for you, that's okay. It's totally okay. Okay. My list. Haha. Number two. Tip number two. This applies to if you are going to sell your work at all. Even if it's just a hobby. I guess that depends. Totally situational. But I recommend making a price list. Big fan of making a price list because something that I found as I started selling my work, even before I got serious with it, even before I made an actual business out of making art, it was really difficult for me to remember what my prices were. And that was creating confusion with the people who were buying them. So if you sell a painting for a price to this one person, and then that same person comes back to you later and you quote them a different price, that's going to feel weird. It's going to feel uncomfortable. Like, money is always uncomfortable. I'm not sure why. It just seems to be a thing. So in order to mitigate that discomfort and in order to keep things very consistent, keep a price list. So write them all down, like write the sizes that you typically work in and how much you're going to charge for those. How to charge for things is a totally separate conversation that I am not going to get into today. And even that is subjective. Like, it totally depends on the artist, and every artist prices things differently. So, okay. Tip number 3. Ignore opinions. This, chicken's going to say hi. Say hi. Okay, ignore opinions. This one's tough because I think it's natural for you to want to please the people that you're making art for, whether it's your family and you're just doing it as gifts, or if you're making art for a commission, or if you're making art for a living. Either way, like, I think for a lot of folks, there's that underlying people pleaser in us all, right? Like, we want people to be stoked to buy our work. We want people to be stoked on the work itself. We want people to be just excited about what we're doing. So when somebody comes along and says, that's priced too high, ooh, ouch, that hurts. Or when somebody comes by and says, that's priced too low, that feels weird because there's somebody just recently that came by and said that was priced too high. And then also with the work itself, that's too dark, that's too bright, that's got too much of this or too much of that or whatever. I think in terms of the actual art making itself, it is beneficial to listen to folks who have been doing it for longer than you and who are actually giving you constructive criticism, like making you think differently. In school, we did critiques all the time, and those critiques were really, really helpful. And I still carry some of that advice with me today because the constructive criticism helped me look at my artwork differently, and it helped me sort of push through some of the things that I was getting hung up on, right? So I could overcome those hangups. But opinions. People are always going to have opinions. It's always going to be too much or too little or too whatever for them. And that's okay. It is perfectly fine for them. You don't have to be the artist for everybody. In fact, you shouldn't be the artist for everybody. Your prices don't have to be for everybody. Your prices shouldn't be for everybody. Your prices should be what your prices need to be, period. In order for you to make enough so that you're not actually losing money on the work. And if you are a full-timer, then it needs to be enough that you can pay your bills. So, and that's a really tough line to walk, but the whole point is don't listen to people's opinions. Obviously, don't be rude, but you just don't need to listen to them. Just ignore them. Just say, thank you so much for your thoughts. Thank you so much for your insight. And then let it breeze on by, and then you keep doing what you're doing, whether that's in art making itself, or if that's pricing or business practices or whatever. All right, number 4 is, and this goes for full-timers or even people who are starting a business but they're not necessarily full-time yet. Give yourself business hours. Actually, come to think of it, I think this also applies to people who are doing it as a hobby who just want to get better at art. Giving yourself business hours or art only hours, I think, is really helpful, because if you're trying to improve your skills, time doing the thing is the best thing that you can do, hands down. Put the iPad away, put your phone away if you can, unless you need it for a reference or something. That's fine, but point is, you need time making art. That is the best way to get better, is to just make the thing and just make it over and over and over and over again. I know that's not fun to hear. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute, but giving yourself art only hours is really helpful. So you sit down for a particular amount of time, whenever throughout the day, the evening, whatever that works for you, 3 a.m, doesn't matter. Whatever's best for you, whenever you've got the most creative energy, whenever you've got time in your day, those are art only hours, nothing else, right? For me, when I was first starting my business, giving myself specific business hours was also really helpful. It was really tricky at first figuring out what I should be doing throughout those business hours, going from 9 to 5. It's like, okay, well, that's a lot of time. What do I do? But, 9 to 10 or 9 to noon? What do I do from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock, And so that took some figuring out. I know some folks, they make art the best in the morning, like first thing when they're fresh in the morning. They need to sit down and make some art, and they need to do all of the other really great stuff that we love to do, like admin work, in the afternoon. But I have found that I'm actually the opposite. And I tried to do that for a while. I try to, like, first thing in the morning, get straight to the studio. And sometimes that does work for me, but most of the time, what works better for me is getting in the studio and getting the stuff out of the way that I don't want to do, like just getting it done. Checking emails, checking, my website, checking for orders, checking all of the admin kind of stuff that I really don't love to do. If I get in there and I just get that stuff out of the way, then it's not like looming and chattering to me all morning while I'm in like creative mode. I also find that my energy is like pretty low in the morning and it kind of builds up in the afternoon. So I usually after lunchtime, I'm like starting to get more creative energy and more ideas are going. And also by that time, I'm like, oh gosh, I'm really itching to get in there and like get some work done creatively because I haven't let myself do that all morning. So business hours or art only hours are really helpful. And then also within that same number 4 tip of business hours or art only hours, I would also say that giving yourself goals is really helpful. So things to work towards, like, whether it's a list of things or if you have one big thing that you want to work on, whether that's creatively or in your business or whatever, giving yourself goals really helps it gives you something to work towards. It gives you a reason to work. You're not just walking in the studio going, well, what do I do? Or if your studio is a kitchen counter, you're not just sitting down with your art supplies going, well, what to do? You actually have a goal in mind. Like, I want to work on contrast, right? So you are painting stuff with high contrast so that you can work on contrast. Or if you want to work on getting better at drawing birds, you are practicing birds. Like, well, that's what I'm working on. One specific bird, whatever the case may be. Within business, if you want to get your website going, okay, well, that's what I'm focused on. Focus on getting my website going. And that might take a while, but that's your goal, right? So that is also really helpful to give yourself goals, not just set hours, but like things to do within that time frame is also super helpful. That really helped me, and it continues to help me. I've been doing the fine art business side of things for 3 years now, and as far as like full-time fine art, and goals have helped me so much, and business hours have helped me so much. I'm actually running a little bit overtime, clocking up overtime right now. Normally I cut myself off around 5 or 5:30, and I think it's closer to 6 now, but that's okay. We don't have to tell. It's fine. Also, it's raining outside. What am I going to do? Normally I call it quits and I go outside in the garden or feed the critters, but I'm going to put that off because it's raining. So here we are. All right. Thing number 5 is a now and later list. The idea is you've got a short amount of things on your list that you need to get done soon, ASAP. And then you've got things on another side of the page or on a different page or whatever, another list going of things that you need to do in general, but they're not necessarily the time sensitive ones. When I first started doing art more full time, this is a little bit more geared towards business for sure, but I think it could also apply to hobby art if you're talking about it in terms of projects. And I'm guilty of this too. I have a long list of projects that I want to do, but things tend to kind of get pushed to the back into the list, and maybe I want them to be on the front end of the list. So I think this list would be helpful for that as well. But we're going to talk about it in terms of business for this time being, because that's how I use the list mostly. So when I first started my business, I had either tons of lists going at once, or I would have just one long list. And I found that, oh my gosh, that got really overwhelming really quickly because there's just so much to do. There's just endless things to do in your business. It doesn't matter, even if you're going through a slow time, there's still stuff that can be done, things that should be done that you don't want to do, or things that you have coming down the pipeline, but that don't necessarily need to be on the front of the list, but you just need to write them down, and there they are, and then things get real confusing really quickly. So, two things that I have found that have really helped me are what I call a now and later list, which is this kind of list. It's got a line down the middle. This particular notepad that I have, I got it at like a CVS or Walgreens or something. Excuse me. It's called a stenographer notebook. I'm going to show you. And I was just flipping through notepads. I was trying to find a notepad that was a particular size. And I picked this one up, and it just so happened to have this pink line straight down the middle. And I was like, oh, that's it. That's my now and later list. So what I do is I write down on this side things that I need to get done as soon as possible. And then this is a bunch of stuff that doesn't have to be done right away. The list is a little bit skewed to one side right now, just because I've started to get better at prioritizing what I need to do. And I haven't needed to put a whole lot on the get it done at some point side of things. So it looks a little bit confusing, but basically what I do is I try to keep my things that I need to have done immediately or ASAP. I try to have those things limited to 3 at a time. So there's only 3 active list items. Everything else is checked off, right? So 3 at a time, and then over here I can put whatever I want. So I can't really think of any examples at the moment, but you know, let's say this one particular day I need to get some inventory done, and I have a couple other items left over from the day before that still need to get done. But as I'm working on my inventory and those other 2 things that I needed to get done, all of these other things start popping up, like, oh shoot, the end of the month is coming, so I need to work on my sales tax, or oh, I need to not forget to pay this person something and write them a check, or oh, I need to not forget about, you know, doing this other thing, contacting this person, or, you know, writing this down, or doing this project, or oh, this commission just came in. Like, all these things will start sort of stacking up. All of that stuff can go on the later side, right? The things that don't necessarily have to be done right now, but I just remembered that I need to do them at some point. So the now and later list has really helped me. And then another thing that's helped me, because I found that within that now and later list, there still were like maybe a whole bunch of like little itty bitty menial tasks that I needed to get done that day or that week or something. But it was too confusing even to have them all together, like all of the list items together. I know this sounds really overwhelming. Owning a business is really overwhelming. I'm just going to say that. I said it. I did. Okay. Anyway, so I really love my now and later list, but I also wanted something smaller that I could carry around with me throughout the day, because I don't always work just in my studio. My studio is a really nice size, but I'm doing a lot of different tasks in here, and I find that sometimes it's just more comfortable if I go sit on the couch and get something done, or if I sit outside and get something done even. So I don't always work in the studio, and I wanted something where I could just focus on today's tasks, even if they weren't on the top 3. Today's tasks, like silly little things, but I needed to do more than 3 of them, and I didn't want to have to put them on my now and later list. Anyways, for whatever reason, I like to have a little itty bitty memo pad. So this is just like a basic memo book. So just an itty bitty little thing that I carry around throughout the day. I've seen some artists use a dry erase board, and I think that's also a really fantastic idea because it makes the scratching off, like checking off an item, maybe a little bit more satisfying because it's totally gone and then you're not distracted by all of the lines. So that's another item to maybe think about. I haven't tried that yet, but I am curious to try it. I think that it would be nice to not even see the task after the task is done. So that could be cool. Stretch break. Do I get too serious during these? I feel like I'd get too serious. That's fine. Oh! Oh, crunchy, crunchy. Okay, tip number 6. Break the rules. This one is a little bit more philosophical, and it definitely has more to do with the art practice side of things rather than the business side of things. Here's my example. When I was in high school and college, there were very specific ways that teachers wanted you to do things. I was a fairly good student and I wanted to just do the thing. If I struggled in a class, it was because I didn't understand what they wanted from me necessarily. And then I also had a couple classes where I could kind of just do whatever I wanted, which were awesome, right? And I explored a whole lot, but I was always trying to make things look correct. Whether it was anatomy, right? I took a lot of figure drawing classes, figure painting as well. Or if it was a critter or a scene, a landscape, whatever it was that I've drawn or painted throughout the years, I've always wanted to make it look correct. There were a lot of rules presented to me in college in terms of how you were supposed to paint and how you were supposed to apply paint and how you were supposed to represent an image that you were trying to convey. And that's something that I don't think an artist should do. I do think it's helpful if you're studying, which, I was in school, I was studying, right? But I really held on to those rules after college, and even while I was in college, even when I was exploring and whatnot, I was still trying to explore within these rules. And that's not something that I would recommend as an artist, like from an artist to another artist. I do think that's helpful when you're studying. If you're doing a master study, which is where you take like the image of a painting from a really, old artist like Da Vinci or Monet or, one of the masters, right? And you study that piece. So you copy that piece to try and study how they did something, right? And try to pull your own artistic lens into that piece. That has its place, and that's really important, and that's really helpful. But in terms of being an artist yourself, you need to break the rules. I think it is so important. Something that has really, really helped me loosen up and find my own artistic voice and my own style, which is something that I hear talked about all the time. Like, people are always trying to find their style, and how do I find my style, and what do I do, and how do I find it? Break the rules. Break the rules. Break them. Do whatever you want. You're not supposed to mix this and that. Try it. That means you're going to have to be removed from it emotionally a little bit. You're going to have to be able to let it go if it doesn't work. But play, like just playing with mediums is so important, and breaking all of those rules. I use a lot of graphite on my paintings now. That's something that I never would have done in college. Like, what? Put graphite? Like, put pencil over the top of a painting? Like, what? No. You're not supposed to do that. Pencil is supposed to go underneath the painting. You're supposed to start with pencil, not end with pencil. But I just wanted to do it, so I just tried it. I just broke the rules, and it's some of my favorite work, right? I use it all the time now. So break the rules. Don't hold yourself back. Don't allow academics to hold you back. They're there for a purpose and they serve that purpose well, but that does not necessarily mean that that's where you're supposed to stay. It doesn't mean that you can't stay there. You can absolutely stay there if you want to, but if we're talking tips, break the rules, break them all, and then see where it leads you. Breaking the rules has led to some of my best work ever, hands down. Maybe some of the best work that I will ever create. So, break the rules. All right. Whew, this last one is a doozy. So, tip number 7 is keep making art. This goes for if you are in business, if you are wanting to start an art business, wanting to have an art business, if you're wanting to be a gallery artist, if you're wanting to get better at art. This is something that this advice was given to me so many times throughout my life. When I was in school, outside of school, when I was just starting my career. This is advice that has come up a lot. And I always resented it. I hated this advice because what I wanted was for somebody to tell me, okay, wake up in the morning and do this, this, and this. Okay, when you get into the studio, do these 3 things. That's what I wanted them to tell me. And I wanted it to be specific because I wanted the formula. I wanted to know what I needed to do in order to be an artist. Like, I had gone to art school. I finished art school. I had no job and I didn't know how to just be an artist. Like, I knew how to make art, but I didn't know how to be an artist as a profession, which was the whole purpose of me going to art school. And I came out the other side and I was just completely lost, right? And that advice was given to me by another full-time artist who's very successful, lives in New York, and has a very successful career as an artist. And he gave me that advice, along with several other people at that time, and other people since then have given me that advice, and I hated it. I was like, oh, this just keep making art doesn't fix the problem of I am not an artist. Like, I know how to make art. I know how to do that. What I need to know is, how do I become a full-time artist, right? And granted, at that time, things were a little bit different. Like, when I was graduating college, the internet was still like pretty new. Honestly, I'm aging myself a whole lot. Instagram had like just become a thing. It had just come on the scene. Facebook was in its early days. Back then, I think at the end of college for me, you finally could be like, you didn't just have to be a college student in order to have a Facebook account. You could be anybody with an email could have a Facebook account. So the internet was very different. Art business was very different at that time. And becoming an artist was a little bit more like smoke and mirrors. Like, it was more difficult and there was a lot of stuff kind of like behind the curtain, and you had to get invited, and it was this whole thing. So I really resented that sort of advice of just keep making art, because I thought, well, what good is that going to do me? Like, I know how to make art. What I need to know is, how do I have a business of art? How do I make a career of this? But what I didn't know, I didn't learn this until years and years later, but that's exactly what this person was telling me. And like, any of the people who gave me that advice, that's what they were telling me. Because it is through the making of art over and over and over again, good art, bad art, all of it, doesn't matter. Just keep making art. That's going to lead you to that career. Whether it's you're sharing stuff online yourself and you're, starting your own career on your own and you're just sharing it organically on your own, or if you're making a bunch of art and you're building up that portfolio to take to a gallery. Either way that you do it, it's still the same, the outcome is the same, and the principle is still the same. You have to just keep making art, because your work, even if you have all these like really awesome ideas and you know how to do it, until you've actually done it, you don't have the work itself, right? So just keep making art. I know it feels frustrating to hear it, but it really truly is the best advice. If you do nothing else on this list, do that. Just keep making art. It'll happen maybe slowly. Even if you're doing all of the other things, all of the marketing and all of the website building and all of the applications, it could still happen slowly. It's happening slowly for me right now. But I'm still making art. Like, keep a sketchbook, make art. If you can't afford buying canvases, or if you have nowhere to put canvases, then get a sheet or a small roll of loose canvas and roll them up when you're done with them and store them that way. Or purchase paper. It doesn't have to be fancy paper. Whatever kind of paper you like at the art store, that's what matters, is that you like to work on it and it's affordable to you. And make artwork on paper and then keep them in a folder or like a manila envelope or something. Stack that work. Stack it. Whether you're stacking it in a corner, stacking it on your walls, stacking it in a closet, doesn't matter. Stack up that work. Make work. I cannot emphasize it enough. And I probably sound like a total mom right now saying, do this thing, blah, blah, blah. But really and truly, like, the best advice is to just keep making art. It doesn't have to be good. In fact, it should be bad. Most of your artwork is going to be bad, and that's okay. I have a drawer full of bad art and sketchbook after sketchbook of bad art. And maybe I should do a video of that where I just share my bad art, or a Patreon post or something of sharing my bad art. A lot of your work is going to be bad. A lot of the master's works are bad. We just don't see them because those aren't the ones that are on display. But I guarantee you that there are tons and tons of drawings, and bad paintings that lead up to that one golden moment where they have a good piece of art. I heard somebody in college say once, I can't remember who it was, or maybe it was a quote from another artist. Was it a quote from Ansel Adams? It may have been a quote from Ansel Adams that my photography professor shared with us. But the quote was something to the effect of, if you make 12 good images in 1 year, that's a really good year. I think it was 12. It may have been a lower number than that. But it was a quote from an artist who was like really well known. I think it was Ansel Adams. And on top of that, he was a photographer. So snap, snap, snap. Like, even with film photography, as long as you can afford the film, you can just take endless photos. And you look at his work and you think, well, all of your work is good. But how many years did it take to get all of that work because of how many bad shots he got in between? So, and then I think about that in terms of like the other masters, you know, people who had, you see masters like Monet, who have this massive, huge space of a studio, but there's stuff all over the place. Same with Alphonse Mucha, same with Picasso, you know, and you see artists that are living today who have stuff all over their studio, and papers and canvases and raw canvas here and there, or miscellaneous bits of scraps and sketchbooks and everything. And it looks a total mess, but the work is in there. And a lot of that work that you see in those spaces is really bad art because they had to kind of like work through the kinks to get to the good stuff. I don't know if you can hear my other son, Toulouse. He is crying. I'm not sure why, but he's a cat, so he's okay. I promise he's fine. This pause coming through the door. So that's my rant. That's my advice for now. Maybe we'll do some other videos like this. I love these types of videos, so perhaps I will make some. If there's any other advice that you want, then please leave it in the comments. If you have like general questions for me, leave those in the comments. It would be good for like future videos that I could make. So I love like a Q&A, artist Q&A kind of video. So leave your questions in the comments and I'll try to answer them there, or if I get a bunch of them, then maybe I will compile them and make another Q&A type of video. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was helpful in some way, or maybe gave you some inspiration or like a little boost if you need it. I often find that these types of videos give me a little bit of an energy boost, or they give me fresh new ideas of things to try or things to think about, food for thought, that kind of stuff. So I hope you like that kind of thing. Hope you enjoyed being here with me today. I certainly enjoyed making this video for you. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. And oh, you should go check out my Patreon. I have been working on some bookmarks. Let me show you. Printed them out today. Printed out just like my basic example, front and back. So this is the front. And so this is the back. And what I'm thinking is that I'll probably, the front will be a different design each month on Patreon. And then I'll also have postcards as well. But I'm excited to offer bookmarks as a monthly Patreon thing. I always need bookmarks. I read a good bit, and I'm always finding that I need bookmarks. It's always like a scrap piece of paper or like a receipt or something, and it would be nice to just have a proper bookmark. So this is the idea. I just printed it out on my printer at home. And so the design will be different each time, but I'll do a design on the front and then a little place for you to be able to write notes on the back of the bookmark. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, head over to my Patreon. I haven't started offering these yet, or I haven't started offering postcards yet either, but I'm trying to start offering them within the next couple of months. End of summer is my goal. So still working out like logistics and trying to figure out if people are even interested in this kind of thing. It's a lot of work to make them, so I don't want to offer them if like nobody wants them. Like, I want to make things that you guys want, obviously. I don't want to make them if you don't want them. I want them, but maybe not everybody wants them, so maybe you do. So let me know in the comments too if you're interested in a monthly bookmark subscription. It'll be bookmarks as one subscription, postcards as another, and then you could get them together as well. So feeling pretty good about that. That's what's up with Patreon, so check that out. There's links and everything. And yeah, check out my channel if you're new. I would love to hang out with you in these videos a bit more. So, all right, I think I've talked enough for today. I'm gonna go feed some critters and make some food for myself and my partner as well. All right. I'll see y'all next time. Bye!